And now we are in the final stages of this month's Variety Hour with our long talk from Breanna Shi, who is going to be talking to us about the Human Augmented Analytics Group.
Awesome, thanks. So today I am going to be talking to you about a program, so a little bit different from some of our other talks. But I'm excited to share this with you and just starting on this Human Augmented Analytics Group represents about 125 researchers. Currently, we've been in existence for a year. Most of those researchers are master's level researchers, but we also collaborate with postdocs, PhDs, and faculty, as I'll get more into what are the different roles or how they engage with us. Yeah, just and one of the cool things is we're operating completely online. It's a virtual data science lab. And so that kind of is showcased here by all of the different places in the world that our members are. So I first wanted to take a moment to share how I got into this idea or creating this group. I'm actually still currently in my last year of my PhD in bioinformatics. My undergrad and my master's are in mathematics, but I've always been on the applied side of mathematics and working on even my first project was modeling methyl mercury bioaccumulation in Lake Erie. So I've always been on the kind of animal and somewhat conservation side of these data science and mathematics applications. Um, and I noticed that there is kind of a problem emerging recently, which is a bunch of people have a ton of data, and essentially most of the time I'm seeing non-computational or mathematical scientists trying to analyze their data completely on their own. And there isn't any like easy setup mechanism to support them making those gains in their field. So this is kind of showing kind of the idea that I started. Well, I'm like, maybe it's not completely interesting for a PhD to do their work completely in interdisciplinary research if they're, let's say, a CS PhD or a math PhD. But it could be that these projects operate at a master's level. And so if we can really think about how we're utilizing master students in computer science and mathematics, we can get a lot more interdisciplinary research done by making smart pairs between these interdisciplinary scientists and non-computational scientists and master's level computational scientists. And and we can move forward the field of interdisciplinary research. So what you're seeing here is a lot of conversations that I had with my friends who were PhDs in biology and chemistry and mathematics to try to figure out what is going to work with that system. And the basic idea that I started with was that, and also, and just taking a step back to think about interdisciplinary research. Interdisciplinary research, obviously, we hear about it a lot. It is very important, but not all of the mechanisms or motivations are there within a typical academic environment to really prioritize interdisciplinary research, which is my opinion. Um, and so I believe in it, and so I thought we will also be moving the needle towards moving forward interdisciplinary research with our work because what this program is going to create is you're going to have data collectors. Their information is going to inform the design of data science. And those two people together are going to be creating the most novel ideas and novel methods. Although people and in the traditional academic environment might be thinking more segmented and more within their own field, we truly, one of our motivations became motivating people to think outside of this typical single discipline design with their projects. So that was where we started. Where we are now is we're doing a lot of different things around these principles. And so we are encouraging more people to enter applied research. including a strong wing of our research is conservation technology, which is why we're here. But our other applications are generally within the realm of AI for social good causes. We are also developing future faculty programs to teach PhDs and postdocs project management skills. We are obviously facilitating cross-disciplinary collaborations, but one of the other things that we're tapping into with this online research is it's accelerating research as well for faculty because the online programs are much larger than our in-person programs. And the way that you're able to select researchers to be working on project, you can be looking for people with much more specialized expertise. The example that I like to give is we had one project which was on the social science side where the faculty needed someone who was experienced in natural language processing and also spoke Spanish because they're analyzing Spanish legal documents with NLP processes. We were able to find 5 people with that expertise. And so that's something that we're unlocking with online that I think many people haven't traditionally been looking in the online direction, but I think there's a lot of potential there that we're trying to motivate. So we launched last year in summer with 15 researchers and faculty. One important note also is that for right now, our only pull for the master's researchers is the online Masters of CS, because that's a collaboration that I have. But our faculty and our postdocs come from anywhere. So they can come from any global institute that are working with us. So 5 faculty, the majority of which are at Georgia Tech, but we do have several faculty that are not. And so then in fall, we're going to 30. In spring, we're going to 50. In fall, we're around 150 participants, including a project management course that was launched this semester related to research project management. And I will go more in detail about that. But the growth has been quite quick and people are really getting excited around this idea. So here you can kind of see the breakdown of our faculty, and that's where you can start to see that a lot of our projects are conservation technology. Here's where we started with about 4 faculty. Each semester, we're bringing on a new faculty and new domains. We have recently, if you look here at our more recent growth, have been so successful that we're actually also attracting computational faculty to get involved as well, which is kind of a huge lift because traditionally, and if I were to talk to these same faculty at the beginning that started with us, one of the problems that they would have pointed out to us is we just don't think that traditional computer science faculty are very interested in what we're doing and want to help us with these problems. Well, now because we've shown some level of success, we're seeing that that's no longer the case. And so that's been really cool. The growth of the faculty is important because in the design of HAAG, the faculty are the people who pitch the projects. And also we're now encouraging postdocs to also pitch projects. So you can kind of think of each of these faculty can post any number of projects, and those projects can have usually 3 to 5 students. And so the growth of new faculty means the growth of the organization as a whole. And so one of the points that I think will be maybe obvious to this audience, because I see a lot of people coming from the industry perspective, but is not quite as obvious when I'm talking to academic audiences, is that some people would think like, oh, it's a good thing to work with online populations because they're underserved, and that's true. But you're also putting yourself in an advantage by working with online populations because these students are extremely skilled. They work at places like Microsoft and Twitch and all of these very high-level computer science companies, and we are grabbing them and getting them to use all of that industry knowledge and talent and put it towards these causes that we say are important. And so that's something that I think goes overlooked a little bit in the academic environment, but it's something that we always want to take the time to make a note of. So moving on from here, what are we actually doing with these OMSCS students? Well, we wrote a paper about it, about our framework called Fair CS. The framework is essentially a faculty has an idea. They are put in contact with a computational advisor, which is usually at the postdoc or PhD level. Together, those two people create what's called a publication contract, and the publication contract merges the two disciplines into something that they feel like is publishable. That publication contract is then used to advertise and recruit researchers who will work on the publication contract. And we use a very democratized publication authorship kind of policy where everyone is added on unless you kind of drop the ball and then you can be removed from authorship. And that's important because I think another thing that's missed in a traditional academic environment is that if you don't establish good policies for publication early, you are losing that as a motivation factor for your researchers, which everybody needs to publish to move forward their careers. So I think it's important, even though it's a logistical thing that a lot of people don't want to deal with, I think it's important to deal with it and deal with it early. And so the design of HAAG is mostly that the training is going to come down to training the industry master students in academic processes. How do you select a journal? How do you craft a narrative that you are writing up in the journal? These are the primary things that we are teaching within HAAG. We are not teaching technical skills. We are underneath the assumption that the student is coming with technical skills that they will deploy in their project. So that's something that's unique about the design. For the purposes of time, I will let you guys learn about the other two components. And if you want to look at that paper, I can provide it. The other major component is PhDs and postdocs, which we are using them as advisors for computational research in labs that may be non-computational. And so this is essentially a future faculty program. It enables people to get excited about interdisciplinary research coming from mathematical and computational fields. And it utilizes, again, this publication as a motivating factor. And this academic experience, as part of the training and the design of HAAG, the PhD and postdoc should have that. They've probably already published, and so they're able to help the master students who are more on the industry side learn some of those nuances of publication that they may not have from their industry background. And we also wrote a paper about how we manage and teach project management to those PhDs and postdocs. A few of the elements, due to time, I'm going to skip through here. But essentially, we have a pipeline of engaging with them at different levels where they might come in the first or second year of their PhD. And eventually, if they're on a future faculty track, they could end up in one of those faculty affiliate roles where they're pitching projects with us long term. That's kind of the long-term goal. So I'll skip through a little bit of this for time because I want to get to the impact because I've told you a bit about how this operates, but I want to kind of inform why you would want to get involved, which is that it works. And so these are some papers that we are getting out. All of these are either already accepted, under review, or will be sent for review this fall. So a lot of cool conservation camera trap projects, some curvature of snake project, classification of understudied lizard species. We got a LiDAR project coming out, and then some from the social science side as well, which some people might be interested in identifying gender bias in recommendation letters, that Spanish legal paper that I discussed before. But we're also thinking more holistically than just papers. So papers is important because it's important in the sense that it's a motivating tool for your researchers. I don't think it's smart to ignore the fact that most people need publications in order to move forward their career in academia. And so instead of thinking as of that as like a drag or a chore that you have to do, how can we use it to motivate the kind of research that we want to happen? So that's one outcome. But we're also thinking about how do we truly make online research equal to in-person research? And that's a little bit broader and involves engagement with larger stakeholders. So here I'm showing two pieces that were actually written about two of our students that do online research to promote their research and to promote online research as truly equal and competitive and rigorous as in-person research. And their stories are very cool, so we wanted to highlight them. We had to figure out hosting. That's a big thing that we've had to encounter and had to figure out. Because a lot of our collaborators want a tool that doesn't require computational knowledge to use. So really meeting our collaborators where they are, that requires working with faculty that provide computational resources and figuring out if they would be willing to partner with us for hosting capabilities, as well as our entire data science is run through PACE, which is our centralized computing resources. And so since they help us so much, we also want to be providing back to their community by providing documentation that we are running in HAAG. So here's some community documentation that we have developed with our team. And as well as, we've had two students present at Variety Hour that is very significant for our team because often these students miss out on the kind of normal presentation opportunities that in-person students would experience because many, many seminars are only held in person. And so we've been able to share our work here, and that's been very exciting. That's the first kind of broader community that we've been able to share our work with. So, so in terms of where people can get involved, if you're interested in getting involved, this is kind of just an open forum for you to put your contact and whatever sparks your interest from this presentation, because we are very open for how people get involved. Some things that we're looking into is how to expand into new populations of researchers. So if you're at the postdoc, masters, or whatever populations you're working with and you have an idea for collaborating with us, we want to do that. If you have ideas for other venues that we could send our students to, if there's other presentations within Wild Labs, we would also want to know about that or outside. We are interested in working with community partners, as we've shown a few outside communities that we've worked with. We want to expand that. We are looking into contributing to Wild Labs courses currently, and maybe creating some of our own Wild Labs courses around our practices that might be helpful to other people managing their research projects. But I think better than creating our own is working with others to understand better what are the needs of this community and how some of the things that we've built might be helpful. And so I always think collaborating is better than just creating your own thing. Um, and then yeah, and then we also are trying to formalize our project management training into so the thing that was published on project management for PhDs and postdocs mainly as a future faculty training into something like maybe a digital badge or a certificate. We haven't done that before, and so anyone with that expertise would be very helpful to us at the moment. And anything else that you're thinking of that I'm not. So that's us. I'm very happy to collaborate with anybody who's interested.
Thank you so much for that talk. It's been such a pleasure to have some of your students on Variety Hours past, and I think this was a great change of pace and a really helpful resource for people in the community to learn about. So thank you so much for that presentation. And we are just at time for Variety Hour. So thank you everybody for joining. Oh, and also Bree, I think you had some questions in the chat that I don't think we can cover live in the recording, but feel free to answer those in the chat or stick around for after hours and you can answer those live. So thank you speakers, participants, Wild Labs team members, everybody for joining, and especially our speakers for their engaging and informative presentations. I'm going to end the recording in just a second, but like I said, everybody is invited to stick around for the after hours to have a more casual conversation about the talks or really anything else. So thank you all for coming, and we will see you next month on September 24th.